the melody just is stuck on that pitch. Doesn't give it any drama and lift and excitement, like, whoa, we're off on an adventure and we're a race. We're actually pretty safe. So for our January 2023 composing competition, we had 15 finalists, but there were somewhere around 450, 500 tracks submitted, and most of them were not finalists. So I got a group of people on Discord to volunteer to have their tracks critiqued and roasted a little bit. And I've invited one of our judges, Christopher C., back to help me along with that. So Chris, welcome back.
Thanks so much. Always a pleasure.
The first one we've got is January Challenge from Roman Gerbat.
Nice.
Thanks, Roman. Just to remind you, Chris, we were talking about composition and how the thing is structured, and melody, production value was also a big factor. Just how does it overall sound, and then was it relevant to that image of these kind of ice bikers in the heat of a race, and in the context of a video game? Does it feel like that all fits together?
I think overall the production value is actually pretty decent in terms of the actual quality of the samples and sounds that you use. I think the one thing that stands out to me, first of all, is the fact that the drum pattern is very consistent across the board. Mm-hmm. And it feels like a MIDI drum groove because of the same velocities across the board. So there's not that much variation across that. The groove itself, but also the velocities are pretty much the same for all the hi-hats, it sounds like. So when you have those two things together, it makes it sound a little bit more robotic, a bit more metronomical, a bit more MIDI. So that might be something to look into, maybe vary up the groove once in a while. Every 8 bars have a little fill in there or something like that. And the other thing I want to mention is in terms of the arrangement, simple is usually a good way to go. But in this case, I feel we could have maybe elaborated just a little bit more, because there's really just 3 core elements at any one moment that I'm hearing. There's the drums, there's the little synth bass, and then there's the theme on the top, which is a pretty strong theme, by the way. But when you just have those 3 elements, the rest of the production has to do quite a bit of heavy lifting. So maybe that means adding a counter melody here and there, maybe an additional piece of ear candy, some additional synths, maybe some pads here and there, just to fill in the background a little bit. It feels maybe a little bit bare bones at the moment. So yeah, maybe just developing the arrangement slightly could help juice it up even more.
Yeah, I agree with all those comments. I think the sound palette and the general choices all fit. They're in the right direction as far as like kind of the video game and going for this kind of race thing. I think all those are right. For me, I think this is similar to your comment on the drums. My overall impression is that it's a bit flat and kind of just a little consistently even. So I feel like we just keep the melody just is stuck on that pitch. It never comes off for me. So we have it. So I'm stuck on it. I'm still there. And then we're going to be there again. So that kind of flatness melodically, like we're just kind of stuck on that pitch. I
Right.
think doesn't give it any drama and lift and excitement. Like, whoa, we're off on an adventure and we're a race. We're actually pretty safe. We're like,
Mm,
bum, and I'm totally safe right here. And I'm just gonna wherever we go. Nope, I'm right here. Bum, 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 bum. So I think that even just giving it just going somewhere else. It doesn't. I don't have an answer like you should have gone to A sharp instead. It's not like
right, right,
that.
right.
It's more just like you should have. The melody needs to have some contour and kind of like either lift and go up or dip. Either way, just go somewhere. So that kind of evenness and flatness, I think, is in line with the comment about the drums. Being like
Mm,
everything is just a little too. You have the right idea, and it just kind of stays there instead of telling a
yeah.
story or kind of it's not really like experiencing anything or going anywhere. It's just kind of like, yes, this is a cool 4-bar idea, but now what it has to evolve and develop, I guess.
Yeah, like it's always speaking in technical terms and for like the production, it's always tempting to grab your MIDI region and then just loop it over and over for your drum groove, right? But that's where most composers fall into that trap of making it super repetitive and all that. So even if you're just changing one or two hi-hat pitches or beats, shifting them to the syncopated beats, increasing the velocities on those or something, that can certainly help drive the piece forward a little more, even if you just leave the melody alone, right? But
That's exactly the reason I prefer to start writing in Dorico in notation, because I just have this L key in
yeah,
my muscle memory that I'm like, yeah, that's
yeah,
pretty good. L,
yeah,
like there we go, loop,
yeah,
and then
yeah,
you
yeah,
can do that in notation software, but I don't have the muscle memory for it, so
yeah,
I'm more intentional.
for sure.
Cool. Well, thank you, Roman. And are you ready to check out the next one?
Let's do it.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, the next one we have is Glacial Thrill from Dustin Crimson Ludwig.
Nice.
So I just want to point out, I think some of you watching this will be like, "Damn, that's pretty good," and I agree. And I actually checked when I got this as one to give feedback on. I was like, "Damn, that's really good." And I looked. This was I don't know if it makes you feel better or worse, Dustin, but this one was actually very close to being a finalist. This was in like maybe the top kind of 25 that I had whittled it down to. So just for those people listening that are like, "Wait, what? That's pretty good." I agree. I think it's pretty good. Any thoughts?
Yeah. So like Ryan said, it's great. Like compared to some of the other ones that we've heard, even in the finalists, this one has a really good sense of balance and depth, like where you want to play certain instruments versus others. Like the groove definitely is at the forefront of the mix, especially the beginning and the end. That kick really comes through, and the other elements are kind of supporting that. And then the middle, you got more synths going on, some more sounds interacting, which is really really nice. If I had to nitpick, I think because this piece is pretty much centered on D at the beginning and the end, and then like it's pretty harmonically stable, I would say. In the middle, you kind of explore the dominance, so you kind of go to the A for a bit. But the thing that I think could take this to the next level is some sort of theme, because to me this feels like a soundscape and something that is supporting a lot of action that's happening. But in a video game, usually there's going to be some sort of theme, I think, that would really just make us want to latch onto it and really make us remember what's happening in that specific moment in the game or a scene or something like that. So with all the background elements being so strong, all I'm yearning for is a solid theme. It could be brass instruments, it could be acoustic stuff, it could be a synth, it doesn't really matter, but something to just help us remember this even more, especially because the harmonic rhythm is so is so simple, right? And I don't mean that in a bad way, but you have the basis, so now we just add that theme in, and I think it'll be there.
Right, like it feels like there's even room for it, just to put that one thing on top. We're just missing that one featured element. That's it for me. I think that there's interesting ear candy and like little string runs, and it's a cool groove, and it's the right energy. But especially as we were getting around here about a minute in, again, that kind of feeling of flatness and just kind of being like, we're not really going anywhere. If there was a melody that was maybe taking my attention and kind of leading me along, that would probably fix that. But where was here, it was just kind of like we're here. We're just stuck again. We're stuck again. I guess I'm kind of like, I've heard it already. Now what? And I want a little more. So I think a theme is probably the solution, but another solution would just be a little more drama in the like drop down and then hit again. It's a race, and it's from the way I interpret the picture is it's not a friendly race, like they're glaring at each other, and so they might be crashing, and then there's one guy in the background like flipping off over a piece of ice. Like I'm getting the excitement of the adrenaline, but maybe a little more of that danger or a theme. One of those ways. Either way, kind of mix it up a little bit.
And by the way, right, if you add a melody, that might even influence some of your harmonic decisions too, because I believe around this 1 minute area we kind of have, if it's not 4, we have at least 3 bars of A on the bottom. So that's probably what's contributing to that sense of staticness. But this one, it definitely got that icy, sort of chilly feeling from the very beginning. So I think you encapsulated the atmosphere really well.
Yeah. It's a good track.
Yeah.
Okay,
sure.
Cool. All right, let's look at our last one. Let's Get Crackin' by Joshua Johnston. Different.
Very interesting. Very different approach. Just before I'll say it before I forget it. This track is super interesting because you have the foundation of that groove there with the kick drum leading you throughout the entire way. But the thing that I noticed is that the overall texture didn't seem to change that much throughout the arrangement. And so this one kind of gave me that almost still sort of feeling, like nothing maybe really was developing. It was more like that kick groove throughout, and then you had this synth melody on top, which, by the way, I think without the kick, I probably would have been a bit lost rhythmically. It kind of just felt like it popped in and out to try to lead somewhere. I think maybe I'm just feeling this overall sense of again, being quite safe, and it's almost a little bit static. And I think it's because of that texture of, the kick, and then having that background element. But the theme itself kind of stays somewhat in the same range, and it's repeated multiple times, and it doesn't really feel like it's taking any risks, if that makes sense. So maybe changing the harmonic foundation a little bit, changing those notes, and then exploring a bit with the melody, and then even the arrangement, switching up the instrumentation a little bit, having sort of a B section here and there, that could help as well. Maybe just sprucing it up a little bit,
I've been playing Metroid Prime Remastered lately, and that came to mind in the very opening. This kind of, and so I think it was that the overall vibe is more tense and just more still. I guess because just that keeping that steady groove, it's just like, oh boy, things aren't quite right. As opposed to we're off and we're racing and we're moving and any kind of, like, I could never imagine like a Mario Kart track having that level of tension. It's more about kind of that dread and that kind of like, there might be something kind of creepy around this corner. I don't know. It has more of that kind of tension. And I think part of where that feeling of tension comes from too can be by something not happening. So you get this kind of anticipation of like, okay, like when's it going to come out? Something going to happen? So that is also kind of creating that mood. Like I like these textures are very icy.
Nice sound.
There is definitely like a nice connection to that kind of being on an ice planet. I think that is feeling there, but I'm missing the whole race and the that kind of the excitement of the race from it. And I agree, the melody felt through composed a little bit or improvised a little more than necessarily a tune that I could be like, oh yeah, that's the Let's Get Crackin' theme, and mix wise too, it felt a little too present and in my face when it came in. All of a sudden it was like, it was very bright, and I was like, whoa, there it is. Like maybe that could, if you're going to use that kind of pointy sound, maybe tuck that back a little bit so it's not quite so surprising, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. Roll off some of the high end and maybe even add a dash of reverb as well. A little bit more.
Yeah, to blend it back more into the soundscape.
Yeah, exactly.
But if I were to try to make this more fit kind of the imagined level that we're seeing in the picture, maybe I would up the tempo, probably a backbeat. That could work. And getting all those icy elements, I think, are right. Like I think that's really nice to have those icy elements, but I need more energy, I think.
Yeah. I think it's more subdivision. Like right now, it feels like it's just a quarter note kick. So maybe.
You're right. Exactly.
Like more syncopation, more 16s,
Trap beat.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Awesome. Thank you, Joshua. And thank you, everybody who submitted your tracks. So if you don't know this, I just asked on Discord. So if you're not in our Discord community, come check out, because that's where I ask people to submit for these kinds of things. And this was a really fun competition. We'll be doing more competitions in the future. So thanks, Chris, for the feedback. Appreciate your help. All right.
See you later.
Thanks for watching, guys. See you next time.
Bye, guys.
Bye.